Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. Thank you everyone for joining me. Last week, I wasn't here due to technical difficulties. I'm glad to be back. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. A member of the Parliamentary Investment attended an economic forum in Iraq attended by major foreign companies. Saad al-Bruzuni, a member of the Parliamentary Investment Committee, emphasizes the need for investment projects in economic development, agriculture, industrial, and health fields. He emphasizes the importance of security stability and the adoption of investment partnership form. Speaking about economics, Soudani believes that economic reform serves as a gateway to financial and banking reforms. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Soudani has emphasized the importance of economic reforms as a gateway to financial and banking reforms. He stated that the government is committed to providing the dollar at the official price and is working to end the suffering of the Kurdistan employees due to the salary delays. Al-Soudani has mentioned that the population census, the first step to implement Article 140 of the Constitution, has been postponed to 2024. He also mentioned borrowing from the Ministry of Finance to pay salaries for the Kurdistan employees and is working on legal amendments to consider them like other Iraqi employees. Iraq is definitely moving in the right direction. The Central Bank of Iraq has taken significant steps in the right direction in relations to regulating foreign trade. Iraqi economy has been struggling for 2 decades due to lack of clarity and fragmentation of policy and uncertainty in economic decision-making. This has led to a lack of stability in the monetary system and financial systems, affecting agriculture, industry, and trade. The central bank has been working with the U.S. Federal Reserves and other countries to regulate foreign trade operations and control foreign transfers according to the international banking standards. In the recent weeks, the central bank has reached a new agreement with the U.S. Federal Bank and other banks to open new banks, strengthen their balances in U.S. dollars, and use new currencies like the euro, the Chinese yuan, the Indian rupee, and the UAE dirham. The goal is to increase reception channels for traders and importers, facilitate foreign transfer procedures, shorten time limits, and address rejections. The central bank is now implementing its new strategies, focusing in on enhancing banking balances and diversifications of foreign currency. The success of the strategy depends on the banks covered by the agreement and a number of correspondent banks involved. In regards to the banking system, the Central Bank of Iraq's delegations concluded its meeting with the U.S. Federal Reserves and U.S. Treasury Department in Dubai. The Federal Reserve Bank of America and the U.S. Treasury has expressed appreciation for the Central Bank of Iraq's efforts to comply with the Iraqi banking system. The meeting resulted in agreement supporting the central bank's policy, including supporting Iraqi banks in establishing relations with correspondent banks and reducing electronic platform dependence. The central bank's governor emphasizes the bank's commitments to supporting Iraqi banks and preparing them for international practice. The meeting also approved cash shipments from 2014. The central bank has also decided to establish the National Company for Electronic Payment Systems in Iraq. NRTV also reports the Central Bank of Iraq's Board of Directors has established the National Company for Electronic Payment Systems in Iraq, a significant development in the country's financial infrastructure. The company will develop, operate, and manage national electronic payment systems with efficiency, adding new elements to the electronic payment environment. The central bank will oversee regulations and implement the company's legal, executive, and operational framework with stakeholders' participation. U.S. development has allocated $50 million to support the SMEs in Iraq through the Iraqi National Bank. The National Bank of Iraq has received a $50 million loans from American Development and Financial Corporations, the DFC, to support small and medium-sized companies in Iraq. The loan is extended for low-cost customers and will enable the bank to continue supporting this through vital sectors through increased financing and working capital. This will drive businesses' activities, maintain jobs, and ensure greater economic stability. Small and medium-sized companies in Iraq represent 90% of the total companies operating in the country, providing 70% of jobs and contributing to 25% of the GDP. The bank is committed to supporting these businesses by launching programs dedicated to increasing their competitiveness and business development. The National Bank of Iraq currently tops the list of banks operating in Iraqi banking markets with nearly $2.8 billion in total assets. Al Rafidain Bank provides an explanation of process of issuing electronic cards and opening bank accounts. Rafidain Bank clarifies the increasing pace of issuing electronic cards and opening bank accounts from its branches in Baghdad and the Providence. All good news there. And the Sudanese authorities are directing the connection between the central bank customs and border crossings. The Sudanese Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani attends a special meeting of the Networking Committee for Border Ports, where he presented the Port Networking Project, its management system, and the potential for interconnections with controls. The project aims to reduce time, financial corruption, smuggling, and custom manipulation. Al-Sudani stresses the need for automation in border crossing processes and a unified inspection picture. The Sudanese government aims to accelerate the integration of departments aiming for state of linking between the central bank and all sectorial departments. Iraq and the UAE have agreed to initiate financial transfers and trade financing between the two nations. The Central Bank of Iraq has partnered with the UAE's First Abu Dhabi Bank Group to facilitate financial transfers, trade financing, and imports between two countries in the UAE dirham currency. The first phase of the agreement began on December 13th with gradual increase for 5 Iraqi banks. The move aims to reduce reliance on electronic financial transfers and strengthening Iraqi bank assets for trade finance purposes. First Abu Dhabi Bank will contribute to Iraq's clean energy project. And Iraq has risen to the top of the Arab oil exporting countries to America's list in a month. Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Libya, and the UAE topped the list of Arab countries exporting oil to America in October, with a total crude oil exports to the U.S. amounting to 18,687 barrels, worth $1,581. Iraq's exports amounted to $574.86 million. The U.S. oil exports in October and September were $14,582 and $14.8 billion respectively. And the election session for al-Habasi's substitute has been postponed until further notice. The Iraqi House of Representatives has postponed the elections of new president of the council instead of deporting Speaker Mohammed al-Habasi due to the lack of conditions for this session. The decision was made due to the preoccupation of members with provincial council elections and the apology of many blocs for their presence. This is no agreement on a single candidate for the position of Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the bloc concerns presented by 6 candidates, with the number likely to increase during this week. The Tatum party, led by al-Habasi, has boycotted the election session, stating that there is no agreement between political blocs on the alternative candidate. And the cabinet plans to disrupt official working hours in the government institutions on December 18th and 19th for council elections. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has ordered the suspension of official working hours in all government institutions on December 18th and 19th for the governorate's council elections. This decision was made after receiving a briefing from the chairman of the Independent High Electoral Commissions, Omar Mohammed, and the head of the Electoral Administration. The Prime Minister stressed the importance of preparing the electoral process for success, stating that the Council of Ministers will approve this suspension. And the Election Commission is conducting a pilot stimulation of electoral polling stations in the presence of Plasheret from the United Nations. The Electoral Commission's conducted a pilot stimulation of polling stations in the presence of UN Secretary General Janine Plasheret and her delegations. The commission received praise from the chairman of Board of Commissioners and the council members. And regarding the oil law and budget, the KRG delegation and representatives from the oil and gas company are discussing the possibilities of resuming oil exports. The meeting, held on December 10th, 2023, discussed the latest development in negotiations between Erbil and Baghdad regarding oil laws and the budget. The Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, and oil and gas production companies met in Erbil to discuss recent developments in negotiations between Erbil and Baghdad regarding oil laws and the budget. The KRG expressed its desires to resume oil exports as soon as possible, requiring a common understanding on production and transportation costs. The meeting also addressed challenges faced by the oil companies due to global conflicts and the COVID-19 pandemic. Both sides have agreed to continue joint meetings to find common solutions and resume oil exports, which are crucial for the economic recovery of the Kurdistan region and Iraq. And our show usually airs around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're running a little late this evening. However, you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith with your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics of Iraq. I bring you the latest Dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday for a full weekly summary, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section below. You can even seed this video by sharing it with your family and neighbors. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar news. I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith, Entertainment News.